Movement is the untapped art to zero build. Sure, most of us know how to slide by now, but what if I told you guys there's an entire playstyle out there based around movement? Trust me, I would know. I've spent the last 2 years creating this playstyle from scratch. And now, I'm gonna hand you guys the blueprint, so you can learn a whole new style to zero build that is as fun as it is rewarding. But first, we're gonna dive into the core concept, or the basic fundamentals if you will, so you can apply logic to reason when deciding what moves to use. It all starts with strafing, which in its simplest form would be to slide sideways until your crosshairs meet a point of contact with the enemy. Once contact is made, I always cancel my slide to maximize accuracy as well as prepare myself for a second move if deemed necessary. Now I want you to keep note of my crosshair placement. Notice there isn't much movement coming from it, and that's because strafing is acting as a means to track. And when I cancel my slide, it always brings my crosshairs to the upper torso or head of my opponent. The more you understand strafing and the different forms that come with it, the better your situational awareness will be, and you'll be able to read and react more quickly based on how the enemy is playing you. Which brings me to the next step in your learning process, and that, my friends, is circle strafing. Think of turning around without movement as an outdated concept. Instead, we're going to utilize the sprint button and make a wide U-turn motion to dodge shots and retake position advantage. Whether they're already behind you or about to get behind you, the very second they do, break off into a U-turn, and as soon as your momentum has shifted directions, drop into a slide, then cancel that slide when your crosshairs meet the enemy. As you progress with these two forms of strafing, you should find yourself dropping your sensitivity speed more and more. Movement will carry a lot of that speed, and I find having a higher aim sensitivity or higher turn sensitivity to be counterproductive and may severely hinder your accuracy. Now's where we get to the more juicier stuff, reading player tendencies and luring them towards the idea you're going one way, then completely switching it up to another. Now that's where you start breaking camp. One of my go-to moves is called a feigned retreat, in which I'm baiting my opponent that I'm running away just to completely switch directions back to the offensive. Now in order to create these illusions, you must be aware of where objects are that can create blind spots. Like whoever's in front of me in this vicinity won't have clear visuals on me as long as I'm behind this wall. Now knowing that, I lure my opponent towards the idea that I'm going to retreat behind the wall. Then, when I hear him push, I slide out from behind the wall and get behind him, completely throwing him off balance. Here's another scenario. We've got footsteps behind us, but this wall to my left is blocking his field of view. I know he's looking to get eyes on me, so I pivot into a ninja move and sprint jump backwards towards the entrance, essentially jumping out and over him just as he pushes in. Here's another one. I fake the maneuver in, and just before the enemy clears a line of sight, I sprint jump towards him. The slide creates clearance, and the cancel creates accuracy. But what about situations where an object may not be at your disposal? Ah yes, the expert level of this course. It's important to keep an eye on their weapon and bullet direction. A move like the Euro slide is one I reserve for when I have a meta shoddy. I've got my target in a close medium range, tracking with an AR. With a little zigzag movement, I can close the gap and beat him with my mythic shoddy. Sometimes, a situation may call for a spin cycle, in which I move across their off shoulder to constantly stay ahead of their gunfire. Now some of the funnier ones I get are when they hardscope a shotgun at close range. Another move I like to do is if I feel my opponent has a read on my slide. The second I get past them, I jump back over them. That way when they thirst to blow by, they won't know what hit them if I'm already back on the other side. I also find hitting moves between pump shots can be extremely disruptive. With elite timing and situational awareness, a swap isn't necessarily needed when you're running a pump shotty. In conclusion, PvP mechanics over the last few years have evolved, and with that, a whole new experience is still being discovered as far as ground mechanics go. But that's it for now, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and be sure to sub for more tips from Clips.